Good evening. Welcome to the El Paso Metropolitan Planning Organization's virtual public meeting. I am Harrison Plord, Assistant Director of the MPO. This meeting is being held as part of a 45-day public review and comment period for amendments to our Public Participation Plan, or P for short. This public review and comment period started on July 6th and continues until August 20th. The meeting will begin with a presentation providing a brief explanation of the plan and the proposed amendments, as well as guidance on how to submit your comments and questions. The presentation will be given by Jeff Howell, our senior planner at the MPO, who is managing the public input process for this amendment. After the presentation, we will take questions or comments from those in attendance. With that, I will now hand it over to Jeff to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Harrison. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeff Howell with the El Paso MPO. Before we begin the presentation, we want to walk you through the topics that will be discussed during the meeting. On the screen, you can see the schedule for the meeting today. We will begin by letting you know how to interact in Microsoft Teams. We will be providing an overview of the El Paso MPO and the public participation plan and the amendments, as well as the information you need to know regarding our public comment period and how to submit your comments. We will then provide an outline of future meetings and then open it up for questions and answers, as Harrison mentioned. If you're not familiar with Microsoft Teams, these are some of the things you will see on your screen. Everyone will be muted during the presentation portion for the purpose of eliminating background noise. But we will be watching for your questions and comments, which you can send us at any time during the presentation through the meeting conversation, which appears on your meeting controls as shown here. We will be answering all questions and comments during the Q&A portion of the presentation. If you would like for us to follow up on your comments or questions and provide further details offline, please make sure to include your contact information, such as your name and email, in the chat box. If you would like to speak during the question and answer portion of the presentation, please select the raised hand icon on your controls. Once we say your name, you may unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon and start speaking. We do want to encourage everyone to interact on everyone's call today, on today's call, so please don't hesitate to send your questions and comments. Also, we will provide instructions for those of you on the phone as well. Let's begin the presentation by getting an understanding of what an MPO is. A Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, they are created by the federal law in urbanized areas with populations of 50,000 people or more. The El Paso MPO has been designated to cover El Paso County in Texas and portions of Doña Ana and Otero counties in New Mexico, as shown on this boundary map. The main duties of the MPO include to perform all transportation planning activities in the MPO region and the programming of federal, state, and local federal funding of transportation projects and programs. MPOs are also responsible for ensuring that all transportation projects and programs using governmental funds are based on the 3 C's planning process. This means that metropolitan transportation planning needs to be continuing, which requires an ongoing performance-based monitoring, evaluation, and updating; cooperative, that it includes participation from federal, state, and local agencies, as well as key stakeholders and the public; and comprehensive, that it takes into consideration a wide range of strategies and investments. You will be able to see all of these reflected in the item that we are discussing today. As part of the continuing efforts to improve public engagement, the El Paso MPO is amending the Public Participation Plan, or P for short, which outlines the strategies and activities used to engage the public in transportation planning and the decision-making process. The minimum length of the public comment period, as mentioned, is 45 days whenever a public participation plan is developed or amended. While this document has recently been amended last year, we are looking to amend it again to address a few additional items that have been identified, which I'll go through in more detail on the following slides. With the amendment that's being brought forward at this time, we are updating the public participation plan to include the annual listing of obligated projects, which is a report of how funds were spent in the last year on transportation projects, include the updated Title VI complaint procedures and forms, which were also recently updated to include provisions for executive committee members' absences, address minor typos and grammatical errors, and also update various website links that were modified during a website update this spring to ensure that they are working properly. There is one additional item that is not reflected in the document that we would like to incorporate after the public comment period is over and after further discussion has taken place, which I'll go through in more detail as well that was recently identified, and those are for the Tier 1 and Tier 2 amendments. The rest of the document remains the same as before. The first of these amendments is the annual listing of obligated projects. This item was not included in the most recently updated public participation plan, but it was identified by the Federal Highway Administration, or the FHWA, as needing to be included and incorporated during this amendment. This section now incorporates the annual listing of obligated projects, when it is to be developed, and where it is to be posted upon completion. The areas of this document where the updates occur can be seen here on this slide in yellow, and that goes for the future slides as well, so you can see where the amendment occurs. The annual listing of obligated projects is a report posted on the MPO website 90 days after the fiscal year is over that discloses the funds that have been obligated in the previous year in order to provide the public with an understanding of how those funds have been spent on the transportation system. Next are the updates to the Title VI complaint procedures and forms. The Title VI complaint documents were updated recently as well as part of several amendments to the Title VI program, some of which included the complaint procedures and the complaint forms, and also have them in both English and Spanish. These updated documents are included for reference as part of the public participation plan and therefore incorporated as part of this amendment. This also provides for consistency across MPO documents. The next amendment is for the provisions of members of the Executive Committee and their absences. While the section of the Executive Committee did exist previously, language was added to highlight the portion of the bylaws that indicates members with 3 cumulative absences will lose their voting status, which was not included in the previous public participation plan, since this section of the bylaws was also recently updated. It is also included here to ensure consistency and awareness for committee members. Another amendment is regarding several instances of minor typographical and grammatical errors to be addressed. In reviewing the most recent update, there are portions of the text that include errors such as repeated words, spacing issues, and sentence structures that could be modified to be more accurate and legible. While it does not change the meaning of what's being said, it is being done to ensure that the document, again, is both legible and understandable. And finally, the last of these amendments in the draft document are to update various website links throughout the document. With recent updates to the website, some of the links that were identified in the 2020 update are no longer accessible. This is being included as part of this update to provide accurate and current website information and to ensure that the public has access to various information produced and maintained by the El Paso MPO. One of the items that was brought up during an external training session were regarding amendments to the Transportation Improvement Program as an opportunity to further improve our processes with regards to amendments, specifically for the Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP. Since we are currently in an amendment period of the public participation plan, we wanted to propose additional modifications to the plan document. Currently in this section, which is section 4, regarding amendments, the final bullet is vague with only reading major and minor amendments to project initiation dates. However, there is no definition as to what is defined as major or minor. In order to improve upon this and to add further clarification, we are proposing to add the text that is shown in red to both sections. Since this would not be incorporated until after the public comment period is over, I'll go ahead and read this proposed text to make everyone aware of this possible update, as this language is currently being developed. Within Tier 1, which are the primary amendments and go before the Transportation Policy Board, or TPB, the last bullet in this section of text includes, but is not limited to, it would be updated to read major changes to project phase initiation dates. A major change is considered moving a project into or out of the first 4 fiscal years of a TIP, as allowed by funding categories. While Tier 2, the secondary amendments, are administrative and are located in the same section, would be updated to read for the last bullet, minor changes to project and project phase initiation dates. A minor change is considered moving a project's funds to another fiscal year, provided they are not being moved into or out of the first 4 fiscal years of a TIP, as allowed by funding categories. Again, this text of this particular amendment is tentative at this point and is pending further review and discussion amongst the boards and committees, but we wanted to make you aware of this section that may be proposed to be amended, since it was not included as part of the draft and has come up for discussion. For more information, to view the draft of the public participation plan, inclusive of the proposed amendments discussed today, is available for public review at our website, www.elpasompo.org. So to demonstrate that, I will go to the website as well and show you how to access that. So if you go to the El Paso MPO homepage, you will see at the top of the menu a Get Involved link. This will take you to our public involvement page. Once you're here, you're able to click the 45-day public comment and review period for the PPP. After clicking here, you will see the information such as the draft document itself, future meetings, and how to submit comments as well. As I mentioned, for more information, you can see it here and review the document as well. You can find information about the public comment period and when that period is ending also for this proposed update. As previously mentioned, the 45-day public comment period began on July 6th and runs until August 20th. Once you have reviewed the document provided on the website and after hearing today's presentation, if you wish to provide comments, you can email us at the address listed here, or you can click on the contact form in the public comment page. You can also mail in your comments as well or directly to the MPO office. With regards to future meetings, this is a list of the upcoming meetings. In order to provide additional opportunity for those who are unable to attend today's meeting, there is an additional virtual meeting to be held on August 11th from 4 to 5 p.m., which will be a general repeat of the information presented today. From the two virtual public meetings, as well as the feedback received during the 45-day public comment period, the comments will then be gathered and reviewed to determine if any amendments are to be made to the document before being presented to the TPAC or the Transportation Project Advisory Committee for their review and recommendation. This meeting will be held on September 1st at 1:30 p.m. for a recommendation on the updated draft document, followed by the final meeting for a decision by the TPB or Transportation Policy Board on September 17th at 9 a.m. Stay involved with the MPO and stay up to date on all of our projects. Please feel free to keep up with the El Paso MPO on any one of our social media sites, such as Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Again, my name is Jeff Howell, and also working on this with me from the MPO is Gabriela Lopez. Our contact information is listed here on this slide. For those of you in attendance on Microsoft Teams, please raise your hand and we can call on you to unmute your microphone one at a time. Also, for those of you on the phone, please press *6 to unmute yourself. Please introduce yourself before speaking as well, and we can now open it up to question and answer and dialogue.